What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the RXP podcast, episode 112. This is a big day. It is a big day.
Huge.
I'm, of course, your host, and I am joined with Alex.
It's a bold strategy, Nintendo. Let's see if it pays off.
Bold strategy indeed. And Tiffany?
I'm like so on the hype train. I wasn't yesterday, and then I'm now on it.
Choo choo. And lastly, Yasser.
Hello.
And that's it. That's
it.
the crew right there. We are talking all about the Nintendo Switch 2. We had a very special direct today that we are going to unpack everything about it. We're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch itself. We're going to talk about those games that we're going to be playing on it. We're going to be talking about the price. We're going to be talking about pre-orders. We're going to be talking about what we want out of it and if we're even down to clown with our Nintendo game console of 2025. So I'm pumped. I've been waiting all day. I've had today off, so I've really not even talked to anyone about anything.
It's
been a great day.
Own thoughts.
It's just my own thoughts. Started off with the Wes Anderson film at like 7 a.m. this morning. Then just like
you watched that in the morning?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, what a day!
And it was glorious. It was also a wonderful recommendation from Yas, and it was a great one. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Nintendo Direct. So let's just talk briefly about the console. We didn't really know much about it. We knew what it looked like. There was a lot of speculation. Man, if I had a dime for every time a podcast would talk about that darn C button and what that C button did beforehand, I almost have enough. I almost have enough to pay for it, honestly. What do you guys think about that? Like, let's just start off with the C button itself. It's the big reveal. C stands for chat. What do you guys think about it?
I mean, I was actually. Go ahead, Tiffany. You can go first. This is
well.
Your day.
I was just gonna say that I think chatting in the Switch proper is gonna be super nice. Mm-hmm. The other chat features that we saw maybe not be so nice. But
are you talking about the like video cam?
Yes, or not necessarily the video cam. I think just screen sharing in general.
Oh yeah,
that looked really rough. Like it looked rough.
It was like
it
20
looked janky.
FPS.
Yeah, that's generous.
I like how they're like, this can get up to 120 FPS. Meanwhile, like the 3 potatoes in the bottom of the screen are just like running at 15 FPS.
Yeah. But I do like that in 2025 we'll be able to chat in game and not through an app on my phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gosh, when I was going to people's islands and I wanted to talk to them in Animal Crossing, I basically just had to call my friend, which is fine.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah. The first thing I thought was like, oh, this looks like Discord. And the second thing I thought was like, well, it's about time they did something like this because I feel like everyone's been waiting for a proper game chat, party chat on Nintendo's consoles for a long time. And it was one of the things that I was looking for and hoping to see in this new Direct is how are they going to kind of modernize their consoles and make it more online and social performant in comparison to their previous consoles.
Yeah. I think especially with, Mario Kart being kind of like the marquee title that we knew was coming today, because it was really the only thing that we knew was a Nintendo Switch 2, that they started off with it being like, oh, this is to play with your friends. And you don't need to worry. They don't need to be on your couch. You can kind of like be with your friends anywhere. And it's like, wow, welcome to the 2020s, Nintendo. But it's really great. It's really great to see. I don't know. I think it's cute, like the video cam. I don't even think it's that expensive. I think it's like $50 or something. And I'm sure you can't use a webcam like any other random webcam. I'm sure it'll just be like a proprietary thing.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Because, I mean, it does plug into USB-C. You would think other things would work, but you never know.
But I don't know if I will be into that. I just don't see, like, if you guys don't utilize it, then I'm not going to be utilizing it with my friends because let's be honest, you guys are my potential friends for Nintendo Switch 2. So that might be it
on Switch.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
cameras and all.
Alex, what did you think about the Nintendo Switch hardware specifically? Were you impressed? I know you're kind of like the numbers guy of all of us, talking about teraflops and everything. You probably don't have to talk too many because they didn't really share too much with us. But what did you think about the hardware?
I mean, to go back to the C button a little bit, I like the functionality. Like, I like what they're providing, but I don't know if the dedicated button was necessary, if I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it could have been folded in, like, with the home button, and
Mm,
you could have, had an overlay come up, and then you can navigate to, like, the chat features that appear there. Kind of, because obviously that's how, like, Xbox and PlayStation do it, right? It's like they don't have a
yeah.
dedicated button for the social aspects besides the share feature, right? But that's more so for recording gameplay or taking screenshots, which they already had, right, in that other snapshot button carryover from the first Switch. So having a dedicated button feels a little bit gimmicky, but I mean, I guess it makes it clear, right? If you want to get to it as soon as possible, you're not really teaching people any sort of UI navigation. You're just hitting the button. It takes you to that function. So I think from the hardware perspective on that, it feels unnecessary, but I get it, right? Because you want to make it as user friendly as possible.
Well,
Overall, though, oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, one thing I will say about that real quick is it's interesting because it seems like they're trying to make this a big push
Yeah.
for Nintendo and for their customers because not only are they doing a dedicated button, like Alex said, but they also, it seems like it's like a very specific overlay that shows up when you do this. Like it doesn't look like you can hide that overlay either. At least they didn't mention it. So that
Mm,
seems kind of interesting. On top of the fact that they're also allowing online chats to be free for the first year or so. So it really does
Mm.
seem like they're trying to make this as accessible and as in your face as possible so that people actually use it.
Yeah. I just, hardware wise, I don't know if the camera gets me anywhere. I kind of look at it and it feels just like not necessarily on the level of Connect with Microsoft, but it's just another peripheral that is available and I will not be buying it myself because I'm not interested in that video aspect. But I do think overall the whole screen sharing thing, the kind of picture in picture stuff, like it makes sense. And I think
mm,
eventually we'll get games where it will be more utilized. And maybe at
mm,
that point having a camera could be more fun, right? They already showed it with Mario Party Jamboree in using the camera. So at least we already have a game that makes the camera more obvious, right? Because honestly, if they're showing all this hardware and there wasn't a reason to use it, right? Why would I ever buy that camera if it was only to see y'all's faces when we could just use our phones, use Discord, whatever,
true.
right? There's so
Very
many
true.
video chatting apps out there.
I wonder because they also showed off like this volleyball game or something that definitely I don't think was Mario Party, but it was like it looked at two living rooms and like the two people in each living room were looked like they were almost like
Motion.
motion controls,
Yeah.
and it's like man, WarioWare. Could you imagine like a WarioWare where you actually like have to act things out? Like that's the type of gimmick that they could package in a camera with a WarioWare, and I'd buy that. I'd buy that. Day one though, probably not going to be buying myself that camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, otherwise, hardware, it falls within expectation, but I think that's a good thing. I think this
Mm,
is exactly what they needed to do. Like the Switch, obviously, from the idea was such a great thing, kind of melding their console and handheld roots right into one SKU. And so, you can have one platform, develop games for one thing, get everything out there. And what I was most interested in hardware wise, and this is something we talked about when we were waxing philosophically about what the Switch 2 could be, was that in the dock, they actually have more hardware, specifically extra fan for cooling
that
purposes.
is cool. Yeah.
And this was something where I was like, oh, I wanted to see something in the dock. Like, at the time I suggested an external GPU. So this is, something known, right? You can have expandable GPUs that don't necessarily incorporate into the system, but it's something you could attach, right?
Hmm.
And this not being that, but having at least more functionality where it's like, oh, if the expectation, and Nintendo's putting this on their spec sheets, they talked about it in the presentation, if this thing can do 4K 60 frames per second gameplay, obviously the thing by itself is not going to get there. And so having extra cooling in the dock, presumably when you're playing this on a 4K television, right, because the screen doesn't support 4K resolution, makes sense. And this is a push where I'm like, okay, you're making more of a valid argument where it's like, okay, you're telling me this thing can do that? All right, you got to prove it, because I don't think within by itself, right? Like right now, we don't really have any handhelds that can get anywhere near that. So I'm like, maybe we can get there, but it's to be seen whether or not we'll get 4K.
For docked, I think was 4K. I think it was 1080 handheld. And like this is reminder, I guess, is this is like a PlayStation 4, and I think maybe they learned about the PlayStation 4 when like at the end of PlayStation 4. I didn't have a PlayStation 4, but I heard all about it. Like once you really got it going, it sounded like just a plane going straight through your living room.
Yeah, you're
so maybe
clear
they're
for
like,
takeoff.
okay, let's get some fans in there. Let's cool this bad boy down. Let's keep the noise at a minimum. But yeah, like I think having that stuff, because like the Nintendo Switch dock is like plastic. It's plastic with something you plug into it, and it's
and
like,
it didn't
there's
even
nothing
have
else
an
to it.
Ethernet port in it when it launched. Like we had to wait till the dock revision when they finally added an Ethernet port. I'm like, come on,
that's
at least
true.
now we have one from the get-go. But like, we're finally here. It's finally 2025.
2025. I'm pretty impressed with I figured that the screen was not going to be LED or OLED. I was hoping that maybe there would be like an extra
Another
tier.
SKU.
But that would totally be a Microsoft thing. Like Microsoft would totally have an OLED version day one. But like having a high quality LCD with HDR, it's a pretty big screen. Like honestly, my Portal is an LCD, and honestly, it looks great. Like it looks awesome. I have no qualms with it at all. So like I feel like if it's a high quality LCD, the screen size of it all, I'm pretty pumped about. And honestly, like when it's docked, it looks like it'll fit easier in my like console area. I don't know. It like seems a little more squarish, especially without the Joy-Cons. So pretty impressed with the screen. I don't know if anybody has anything to say about that, but the big one that we really need to talk about is this mouse control. Like everybody was thinking, oh, it's kind of swiveling like a mouse. They talked a little bit about Civ 7. Honestly, I think this is pretty cool. Like back in the day, Nintendo Switch, when like my battery was worth more than like an hour undocked, it used to be like my indie machine. And I think this is a really cool area that maybe for some of these Steam games, if they're looking to put it on console, like having some just built-in mouse support could be pretty cool.
I think you're right, because there's actually one indie game that came out a couple years ago that I was interested in, and it was called Bear and Breakfast, where you were a bear.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a bear that owns an inn, and you like service humans to come and go to your.
You eat them.
I don't know if you ate them, but basically the UI.
It's his breakfast.
No, we don't know that. Don't.
Spoil.
Don't.
Wait, did you play this?
No, I
No,
didn't.
I didn't play it.
Oh,
you're talking about. Well, the thing is that I heard from a friend who did get it on Switch, and they were saying that the UI controls were better suited for PC, and like it felt like you were running a mouse on the thing, and so I was like, gross, and so I didn't buy it. But maybe with Switch 2, I would consider games like that. Right now, I don't know. I mean, like, it seems like a cool thing. Like, I noticed the little laser pointer part on one of the Joy-Cons when it was, like, showing us the magnets and, like, showcasing that. So I was like, oh, that's, the mouse feature. I don't know what games I would use it for at this point, but I think there's cool that there's the option for it.
Drag and Drive.
Oh. I love the accessibility and the inclusivity with that game, but I'm not going to get that game.
Oh, yes, the
Drag and
the
Drive.
like wheelchair basketball.
Yes.
Yes.
I
yeah.
think it was great that they showed that, because that is something I would be most intrigued by. Like, if anything, I'm not necessarily intrigued by being able to use like a computer like mouse on the Switch. Like, I want to see games like utilize the sensor like in that way, and I think Drag and Drive was an interesting implementation, especially with the shooting, right? Because obviously you'd have to, you control your arms, you're dragging it across the surface,
the whole thing.
to move your wheels, and then you're like picking it up and like doing like a little flick of the wrist to like make a shot. And I think like that kind of stuff makes it more interesting, because obviously like a mouse, what the outcome is, right? You're just clicking a cursor around a screen. It's not super exciting. I'm mostly concerned with the accuracy of the mouse. That's it. Like, I just want to hopefully it works on a variety of surfaces. It doesn't desync, because I can feel like it could get very frustrating if you're like moving it and it loses track of where it is, and then the cursor ends up somewhere like that. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
They better be trying this on leather, on like
Everything.
fur. I don't know, like
Corduroy?
any material that
30
we could be
different
doing
types
this
of
on.
wood.
Because I'm not sitting at a desk. I'm not playing this at a desk. Like, I'm
Right.
playing this on a couch. So hopefully they're figuring
Jeans?
that out. Jeans. Yep.
Skin.
Yep. Yeah.
Skin,
Skin. Okay.
pajama flannel.
Yep. All of those.
Yasser's like,
yeah,
when I don't
think-
have jeans on, it's skin.
That's right. He has two options.
Yeah, those are
shirts
the
and
two.
skins. That's right.
Honestly, so I thought the hardware was on par with what I was expecting too. I do think the mouse thing is pretty cool as well. Because personally, I think especially for FPS games, like how they showed as an example, the new Metroid game is gonna work with the mouse functionality. I find using a mouse in those types of games is more immersive and makes it feel like you're actually controlling the character versus if you're just using a joystick. So I think that idea is pretty cool, but like you said, it really does depend on, like all of you guys have said, it really just depends on how well it works, especially when you're potentially like 10 feet or so away from your console. You never know what interference you might get. The one thing that I thought was actually surprising that we haven't mentioned yet is that, or maybe we have, I can't remember now, is that it does, or it is capable of 120 FPS, right? And that was something that I wasn't expecting out of Nintendo.
Crazy,
I thought
yeah.
they were just gonna keep it simple, 60 FPS. This is what standard is for us. But they actually pushed it further than I thought, and that was something that I was actually pretty excited about, but also I'm curious how many games are actually going to take advantage of it, because obviously, like we've seen, these aren't the most performant games in Nintendo's catalog, especially with these open worlds like the Zelda games and the new Pokemon games that we've seen. I'm concerned that we're actually going to get to that, but it's nice to actually at least have that option in case you have a game that can push those limits.
Yeah. I think it's great. Like, I honestly, I am excited to see what the potential is. Like, once we get to kind of their second year, their third year of slate of games, like, what can people really utilize? And I'm hoping that first party, they're going to really take the most advantage of this. Because honestly, between 30 and 60, huge difference. And even beyond that for platformers. And it's like, I would love to see a really crisp platformer, because they even like used Mario as an example of like how many frames you can put in and like how snappy that'll look. So kind of hopeful for more to come.
I really want themes. I swear to God, Nintendo, we need themes.
What does that mean?
Yes, themes. I want themes for my console.
Like on
I
your
want,
dock,
Yeah, no, not on my dock. I meant like on
Like
the UI.
Software things.
on the UI dock. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Like I don't want
Okay.
black or white. I want to put stickers on my screen. I want a Fire Emblem theme. I want an Animal Crossing theme. I want Isabelle to be on the face of every game cartridge that shows up on my console when I plug it in because I chose that. I really hope we get that. I was really bummed that we didn't see that.
You know, they like the My Nintendo points. They basically said, hey, all these are going to go away.
Yeah.
So spend them if you can. I was almost curious if that was because they're looking to put something there that people will spend, you know, these like fake internet points on. Themes would be perfect for that. Like having like a theme for, you know, 30 platinum points, whatever that entails. Like that could be really great.
they're
I
getting rid of
definitely
those
agree with
points?
that.
You could
What's
get
that?
icons. You could make
But
icons with
they're getting rid of the currency?
the
think
gold coins. I thought
they're-
they were getting rid of the
yeah,
gold coins.
They're doing something. Yeah, one of the
Oh,
two is going away. So yeah,
Was that during
spend
the
'em.
announcement today, or is that just like a previous announcement or something?
The past like couple months or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Old,
Yeah.
some time ago. I don't even know how much time is left, but I spent my gold coins last week
Nice.
on that Disney villain cafe potion game.
Love
that
it.
I
Yeah,
played
from
for
last direct.
15 minutes so far.
Oh, was it good? Was it a good 50 minutes?
Yeah, it was.
Needs a Switch 2
Nice.
edition.
No.
I can't wait that to be in your top 4 this year. You're like, I played 30 minutes of it, and it's my number 4. Let's talk about some games that could be on your top 4, okay?
Yes.
Because let's just rip this Band-Aid off, okay? Rip Tiffany's Fantasy Critic
Oh,
because
to
it's coming.
shreds.
To shreds.
Shun the
because she
non-believers.
counterpicked it.
Didn't someone
And-
counterpick Silk Song?
Unlucky. Yeah. I'm still not
Oh.
convinced, to be honest, but we'll see.
Oh, okay.
We'll see. We'll
We'll
save
see.
that. We'll save that.
I got punched
so
in the
first,
face.
Let's talk about first party because Tiffany is nursing some wounds today because Mario Kart World is coming out
Oh boy.
and it looks amazing. Like, is anyone not fired up about this? Like, it looks as good as it can get. I honestly thought that the art style was poppin'. The world actually, like, I was really worried if this is going to be an open world, this is going to basically look like
Pokemon.
Pokemon Arceus,
Yeah.
like 3 random trees and
Popping
like
in and out.
maybe a Goomba or 2. Like,
Yeah.
nope, it is full of life and there's like places to go. I thought this looked really, really fun. And honestly, a lot of the game modes looked very, very fun as well. Like some of the multiplayer game modes, I am not a multiplayer guy, but I could totally see me just wasting tons of hours with some of the game modes that they kind of shouted out. A lot of different customization, make your people look different. Honestly, I just thought this looks like the best version of Mario Kart. If there was any difference of we have Mario Kart 8, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Is this just going to be Mario Kart 8 Deluxe kind of reskinned? No, like it looks completely different. So I'm pretty pumped for this. This is a game seller for me. Like this is going to move plenty of Switch 2s in my mind. What do you guys think?
I can be Moo Moo Cow. I can be the Moo Moo Cow. You
Dreams
guys,
do come true.
I can be Moo. I can get on a bike
The
and drive.
iconic cow from Moo Moo Meadows herself. It's
I
Never heard of them.
was like thrown. I was thrown like off by seeing him, her, they. Listen. First of all, I was really sad for myself that this game is coming out in the sense that like I'm gonna be negative a bajillion points and I won't be able to crawl out of the hole that I have carved myself.
But you're
going to
be positive, a wonderful game though.
But this game looks so cool. Like I want a Nintendo Switch 2. I think I want
No,
a
Matt,
Nintendo Switch 2.
we waited over 10 years for this, right? Mario Kart 8 came out in 2014, and then we got Deluxe in 2017, I believe, or 2018. And they've been updating Deluxe with those track packs, which has been great, right? I think Deluxe has
Yeah.
over
So much
100
value.
tracks now. Yeah. There's a lot of variety there. But it was all, to tide us over for them to finally do it, to make basically Mario Kart Horizons and obviously add all the extra, trimmings that you want in a racing game. Because I feel like one of the major things that Mario Kart has been slightly behind on is the racing innovation. And right, like they're great at the mechanics of the racing, but typically they're all track races or point to point. And they did have stuff like battle mode, right? Like they've had alternative ways to enjoy driving your kart around. But it wasn't until now that they've kind of expanded upon that, right? With the elimination races, great addition, right? Always great going from checkpoint to checkpoint. Who is ever in the last couple positions will get eliminated. So it's a survival type thing. And then adding just the free roam. And I feel like that's going to be a big part, right? Where hopefully, Matt, from what we've seen, it's not a dead, sparse landscape where there's nothing to look at when you're driving around, but hopefully there's like things to actually do in this open world. And I'm not looking for a lot, right? Like, I know this is Mario Kart, and the fun of it's still driving around and using items to, battle your opponents. And so I know just raw driving around in the environment isn't going to have that, right? Or maybe there is. Who knows? Maybe you pick up a green shell and you're going to need to use that in the environment to do something. Who knows?
What if there's fetch quests?
I don't want that. I don't want that. No fetch.
I'll take collectibles though. Like overworld collectibles, that would be great.
Make it something where it's fun to drive around, and that's all I'm really looking for. Heck, even hide the unlockable racers in the world. Like maybe that's how you find them. Like you got to find them. They're trapped somewhere. You got to reach them, and boom, that's how you get, dry bones, even though we didn't see dry bones in the trailer.
Banjo-Kazooie just in the water. You have to like go save them.
Oh my gosh.
Be perfect.
I mean, you could be Dapper Boo, even though you can't be Dry Bones.
I'll be honest, I haven't played a Mario Kart game in like I don't know how long. It's been like at least 10 years. So for me, it was like it's whatever. I'm glad people are getting a new Mario Kart. That's great. What I will say is I'm glad, one, that they are including it in a bundle. But I'm not so glad, two, that it's $80. Like, to me, whatever they showed is not worth $80. I don't know how they came up with $80 for this. I just don't approve of that. But overall, like, I'm glad there's a new Mario Kart game.
Isn't is $80 digital or the physical price? Because there's a difference.
Physical
in price.
is $80, and so if you buy the bundle, it's $50 extra to get the digital version of Mario Kart. Otherwise, you'd have to pay $80 for the physical version. And honestly, like this is something that a lot of people have been speculating with the new console, with GTA 6 right around. People have thrown around GTA 6 going for $100, which would be wild, but they could get away with it. Like if there's somebody who could get away with it, it'd be GTA 6. I think this is Nintendo kind of marking their spot of like, hey, this is what you can expect for this type of experience. It's going to be $80, and people are going to pay for it. I appreciate as a digital guy myself that digital is going to be cheaper. But I think, how much of a lot of landscape of that we're living in right now, dealing with like kind of physical copies being higher. I think that might be playing into it. But yeah, $80, that is crazy. There's a reason why they didn't talk about that in the direct.
And I mean, to their point, like, or to their credit, if you want to call it, like we obviously live in a very interesting climate as far as like the trade wars that are going on right now, right? And then on top of it, you're seeing year after year less and less people are buying physical. So that makes it a tough business decision from their end too, because they need to make these physical copies. So I get it from those two perspectives. It's just, it still feels like a tough pill to swallow. That's all.
Because on one hand, you can almost see how they're trying to help the consumer in some aspects by like what they talked about last direct with kind of like game sharing, which that was kind of like on local internet only. And then it's like has to be on the same wireless. There's a lot of loop or things to jump through. But what's really nice is, if you do have a household and you want to play on your own Switch 2, like if you're in the same area and only one of you has a game, you both can play that game, which is cool. Really nice. I think that it might not be for, I don't know if they said for Mario Kart World, but I know that they kind of listed off a few titles that it's going to be with. Mainly they talked about Switch 1 titles that will have that capability. But maybe that's kind of their way of kind of saying, hey, I know this is expensive, but maybe, this is kind of a bone to throw your way. So maybe, it doesn't bankrupt a complete family, household.
Yeah. I did get a little bit confused about they did also announce a Mario Kart World specific direct on the 17th of April, so that'll be nice because we didn't see anything about like how local multiplayer is going to be if you only have one Switch, because they did showcase World with like if you had 3 friends with their own Switch 2s, only one person needs a copy for you all to play kind of on your own screens, but we have no idea what it looks like on a TV. Like, what's that going to be like?
Split screen. Yeah.
Bringing it back. that will be interesting. Like, we really didn't see much. Like, there wasn't a lot of talking heads of like, oh, here you have Princess Peach. What we did have was kind of like some 4 influencers talk about the mic and group, game chat, which was worse, but we got through it. We got through that process.
At least they're all photogenic, right?
They are very photogenic, and that one guy in the back was like, this is the opportune time
to make a smoothie. Yeah.
I'm going to turn up this blender.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
That's going to
that
sound
is great.
terrible.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you for a second. Anyway.
That's funny. That was funny.
Anything else about Mario Kart? This was kind of like the big one for me, at least.
Yeah,
definitely.
Same.
It is the system seller. I was going into this with 2 things. They just needed to show me Mario Kart or a 3D Mario, and I would buy it on launch. And lo and behold, they came with it that I had full faith to draft Inner Fantasy Critic.
God.
Yeah.
And so they got me. I am ready to go all in on this because it is one of those things, right? I purposefully didn't buy Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because I was waiting for the next thing. And it seems like my patience has paid off. So, Nintendo, I didn't pay your $60 plus for that rehash of a 10-year-old game, but I guess I'm going to be paying $80 for this brand new thing. So, hopefully, it's packed full of content.
Yeah. I hope so. It definitely looks like they, you talked about it being Mario Kart Horizons, but like, I definitely see that. I see the DNA of that. I see the Diddy Kong Racing DNA, like going from a boat to a plane to a car. Like, man,
jet ski.
I think this game is going to be great. I cannot wait for the Direct in April. It was April, right?
Yeah,
April 17th,
April 17th.
is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Like, I don't need to see any more. That looks like a 10 out of 10 game already.
But are you going to watch the Direct?
Oh, yeah. Oh, please. I'll be like, put it in my veins.
Okay.
But I don't need it. I will pay for it.
Right.
Like,
while
I want
Yasser
to be
says
gentleman,
$80, I'm like, $80? Can you believe it? What deal?
It's such a steal.
There were a couple first-party games. Some caught me by surprise. One, Sakurai is coming back for another racing game.
Oh my
gosh. We've got
Kirby Air Riders. Kirby Air Riders.
A reboot of that franchise. That's definitely something first party I wasn't expecting. A new Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Oh my god, that looks
which looked
so cool.
Fantastic.
Bonanza. You gotta put the emphasis on it.
Other things. We had. Oh, is that DLC to Tears of the Kingdom? And then it wasn't. And Tiffany and I realized on the same group chat it wasn't. And we both went, oh. Because it's just not,
Age of
Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, what is it? Age of Imprisonment or whatever?
Yeah. So from some of these first party, I probably missed some too. What do you guys think? Any of those? If Mario Kart wasn't there, would any of these be a system seller for you?
If Mario Kart wasn't here, the answer would be I would wait. I would wait.
Really?
Yeah, I would wait. Now, listen, Donkey Kong's never...
to me.
That's
Donkey
very
Kong
surprising to me.
Was unexpected, and the fact that it looks like Mario Odyssey is where I'm like, wait a minute. I think I was like, Alex, can you buy the physical Donkey Kong Bonanza so that I can play it too?
Bonanza.
And then he said, I mean, if I get it digitally, I could game share it with you. And then I said no, because then I'd only have 2 weeks to play it. So which it's going to take me 18 years to play that game. So I basically am hoping that we can go halvesies or something, or 70-30 on Donkey Kong Bonanza. So I can
Wait, so
play
there's
that
a
game.
2-week limit of how long you're able to play it?
For the game sharing,
For the digital game share. If you have the digital game card thing from last week, it was like you can lend your game out. You can lend your digital games out. You also have to be on the same family plan, and Alex and I are not on a family plan together. So I would have to like even get that if I wanted to do that. So I do have to say,
but then I'm on a family plan with someone who does not live in my city or on my local network. So like
Yeah.
I couldn't even amongst my own family plan,
Yeah.
because we don't have the same Wi-Fi internet.
Yeah.
I could not digitally. It's very limited. It's
I see.
basically
It's
for people
families.
who live
Like-
with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, like nuclear
I'm the
families.
Real
same.
life family.
How dare you,
Yeah.
Nintendo? How
Rude.
dare you?
How dare
What about
you?
found family?
This is
Yeah,
America.
exactly. But
RXP
dude, no,
family.
but seriously, that Donkey Kong game looks fire. Like
It does.
I was
It does.
shocked. I was shocked that I was like into it. But I do have to say that game alone probably wouldn't have sold me on getting the Nintendo Switch 2 now. I'm not going to lie. And the only reason I even want a Nintendo Switch 2 is because when I was like thinking more about the Mario Kart, and I was like, wait, but I want to progress on my own account. I don't want to play on Alex's Switch 2
Yeah.
where my account is just going to be not random. Like
Alex guessed.
Alex, yeah, I don't want that. I want to be able to have my own horrible statistics of being in, 7th place,
Yeah,
9
that's
times out
right.
of 10 or whatever.
I mean, that's pretty good out of 24. Just
Yeah.
saying.
That is. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about how
That's
huge
top
those
33%.
lobbies
Yeah,
are gonna be.
that's true.
Yeah, no, I mean, part of the emphasis with the more like the bigger races, I think just also by default makes it more fun because there's more chaos. Like I'm not playing like if they didn't remove the blue shell like I wanted them to, I'd rather there be like 5 blue shells simultaneously flying at first place
Sheesh.
from like
yeah, I do
24
not want to
through
be in that
20th
race.
Alex, are you gonna go in with me on the Donkey Kong? Are you gonna get Donkey Kong on July 17th?
I mean, to go back out, I agree with Tiffany. If Mario Kart wasn't there wasn't enough announced now that would get me day one. I think it really came down to Mario Kart because I'm more of a guy where I also see the Switch as the ancillary device, right? Like I primarily play on other platforms. I have a bunch of games on those platforms that I know that are coming out that I'm excited for that are also coming out in a similar time frame. Heck, right, Matt? 3 weeks later, Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Like that's
I know.
just a short
I know.
3 weeks. And so if Mario Kart wasn't there, even with Bonanza coming out in July, like just a month afterwards, like looking at everything else, a lot of the stuff was later, things like September through even up till next year, right? With the Dusk Bloods as From Software has decided to grace the Nintendo platform with.
Love that.
So because of that, I'm like, well, Bonanza looks great. I'll probably will pick it up because it feels like it's being developed by the team that did Odyssey. Like, I don't know, something about it, the way it looks, the way it runs. I'm like, oh, if that's the same development team, I think this will be fun. And it does have a fun twist, right, with the whole terraforming aspect. It plays into Donkey Kong's strengths of being a big, primate that's very strong. And so there's a fun gameplay gimmick there. But everything else, I was kind of like, oh, I would play these just eventually. Like everything else was like, I don't need to play this day one, like the day it comes out. And so I think without it, I probably would have been waiting into next year easily when, hopefully a 3D Mario is coming, but who knows at this point.
Yeah, I would, even without Mario Kart, I would get this day one. Like spoiling what I thought. Like this whole direct was played for me. Seeing Donkey Kong was definitely something that would have sold me enough. I'll be honest, Hyrule Warriors, even if it was free, probably wouldn't play it. Like that's not my game.
Yeah.
Sorry. Kirby, don't know you. Like not something I'm into, right? Like
But
I don't need another racing game
racing.
when I've got Mario Kart, right?
Okay, I guess.
I think the two selling points for me outside of Mario Kart, which did it by itself, was Donkey Kong. I am so stoked. They love their first party. Like their main tentpole characters. There's so much care. Playing through Tropical Freeze right now and like the full orchestra that they have into those games, just thinking about a next gen version of just having those like same songs and tunes from Donkey Kong Country, but newer and like with a fresh, little bit of paint. And yes, Donkey Kong looks he has like dark circles now, but that's fine. Like it's a new age for him. it looks great. The gameplay looks fun. It definitely looks like something I will be getting day one. I'm very excited for that. But outside of that, something else that I didn't even mention yet that I'm very interested in is for Switch 2 only. They are bringing GameCube to the Virtual Console. Like this has been long thought of, like, when is this going to happen? And that they basically was like, yes, it's coming. There's only 3 games at first. It was Wind Waker, Soul Calibur, and F-Zero. But like Fire Emblem Path of Radiance was one of the next up. Chibi Robo, Pokemon Coliseum, like some of these games that I loved growing up. And it's only going to be Nintendo Switch 2. Like Nintendo Switch 1, you're not going to get GameCube. And to me, I'm like, that's pretty awesome. That's a great value because they have put so many of the games from NES, SNES, N64. Like honestly, I can't think of many games that aren't on the Virtual Console at this point, and that they're starting that with GameCube. I'm like, this is going to be a great investment. I'm really, really looking forward to it. So with that, like I'm in day one. But yeah, Mario Kart was enough. Everything else is style points.
Are you getting the bundle?
I will. Yeah. I'm not paying $30 more for physical. I love digital, especially because we didn't even talk about it. There's actually space here. There's like 256 gigs, which is great. Like that's a lot more than what the Switch One has.
8 times.
8 times. I like how they lined up
The cartridges.
the cartridges.
Look how much more.
Really, really good. So outside of first party, they're also bringing a lot of third party, and honestly, pretty impressed by the games that they kind of were talking about. They had Elden Ring. Alex talked about, Vile Blood. It's not Vile Bloods. It's
Dusk Bloods.
It's the equivalent. Yeah. It's basically so Sony won't find them for Bloodborne stuff. It looks very Bloodborne-esque. Silk Song announced for 2025, I guess officially.
It made like a cameo. It wasn't even announced.
It was a sizzle reel.
Sizzle
it was
reel.
part of a sizzle reel, and there's 2025 in the bottom.
It's gonna happen. I haven't checked on the subreddit yet, but I'm sure they're going crazy. They're probably like making sacrifices. In
excitement.
There's plenty of other things third party. Hades 2 was probably my highlight.
Oh my gosh,
because Hades 1, that's where I played. I played on Switch 1. It was not on any of the other consoles. It was on Steam or Nintendo. And I am planning on playing Hades 2 on Switch. Like, it just feels right to play it there. So, any highlights from you guys?
They did announce Supergiant. I saw made an announcement saying they are going to be like a console exclusive in the beginning, like on the Switch, because that's where Hades 1 also kind of debuted console-wise. Yeah. I think that is what I'm really most excited about too in terms of indie. Duskbloods looks too scary. I'm not into that.
It does.
But I also did see Witchbrook again. It was shown last week in the Direct, and Witchbrook looks really cute. For me, it's like a step above Stardew Valley in terms of pixel art, which is like the right space to be at for me, me to be actually visually... for me to think it's visually appealing. So I think I'm pretty excited for that. Those two.
Love it.
So the FromSoft announcement was the one that like caught me off guard. That was the one I was like, oh crap, this looks pretty cool. And then they announced that it was exclusive, and it pissed me off.
Why?
Like, I didn't even get to like really experience the Donkey Kong reveal because I was too busy looking up like, is this real? Is this actually only coming to Switch? Like, what is the catch here? And it's like, oh well, this is actually like a PvPvE that's similar to Night Rain, where they're not going to be able to get that. So this is going to be like their consulary, I guess, in some way.
Interesting.
And I don't know. I want to play that, or I want to be able to experience it, but I don't like the fact that it's only on Switch. I hope that ends up not being the case for very long, or at least it goes to PC, but we'll see. But yeah. Other than that, I read
that. I almost read that as like Switch 2 exclusive, meaning like, oh, this isn't coming to Switch 1. I didn't even think about this not coming to other consoles.
Oh, that's what I
that's
thought.
immediately where I went. And when I looked it up, that's what it seems like they're saying as well, is that it's not coming to other consoles.
Oh, that's huge. That's so
Yeah,
strange.
it is strange. I know, especially for a FromSoft game, it's very odd.
Yeah.
Um, I think overall, a lot of the like announcements that they made with their third party, I mean, in general, especially like for me, if I'm gonna get a Nintendo console, it's for their first party.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in my eyes, a lot of the third party that they announced were games that came out a few years ago that don't look as good
Hmm.
as they would on a PS5, for example. So it didn't really swing it for me one way or another. It was really all about first party for me, and obviously there just wasn't enough Pokemon for me to get super excited yet, but hopefully we see more of ZA because they did at least give us a little bit more information about that and how it's going to have a Switch 2 edition.
Hmm.
Um, but it was like, I don't know, to me, a little disappointing to see Hogwarts Legacy and like still a mobile version, but I'm glad that Switch only people are gonna get that now at least. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Exactly.
can't fault them for at least celebrating that they're getting some of these ports they didn't have before. I just wish we saw more upcoming games or very new games that are gonna be coming out, like if they said Monster Hunter Wilds or the new Elden Ring Night Rain. That would have been more exciting to me than if than some of the announcements that they had.
There was one newer game that was on there that I've not played. Is it Path of the Goddess or Path of X something?
Oh yeah,
There was something.
Kunitsugami. Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty new. Is that right?
Yeah, it came out July of last year, so that's
Okay.
actually kind of nice that it's getting a Switch 2 version. Not that it's super intensive, like visually or gameplay wise, but it is another kind of breath of fresh air for that, right? Because it was developed by Capcom. It's like what I would classify as, Capcom being third party, but it's like the quintessential like double A type of game where it's like
Okay.
medium budget, like medium to low budget. But I think from what I've played of it, I've played about like 5 or 6 hours on PlayStation. It is a solid game. Like it's
Okay.
a mix of tower defense combined with action where you're essentially having, right, it's kind of, things you've thought of in the past, like field runners, balloons, like those like stereotypical like mobile game tower defense stuff. But instead of you placing turrets, like they're all characters, like they're all
Oh,
human type
interesting.
characters,
Okay.
and you actually like you can dynamically direct them. So it's like, oh, right now I want you guys to hold this position, but as we're like moving ahead, I'm going to need you to like move up and like fortify this area. And so it turns a little bit more like strategy combined with the tower defense aspect as the
Mm.
waves of enemies are coming at you. So I think I'm glad to see it get a kind of re-release in this case because I feel like that'll get more people to see it. And I do
Hmm.
think it's something where I'm like, hey, this game is great. At least on other consoles it was $50, so they're not. Hopefully, they won't be asking like 60 plus. And so it's like more kind of that middle range expectation. And there's a lot of replayability. Like it is a game where it's designed for you to do a level and you're like, oh man, I didn't perfect it. I gotta like come back or I gotta redo it. Maybe I figure out a better strategy. And so I
Hmm.
think there's a lot of value there. So for me, I would say the other thing, even though it wouldn't or it doesn't get me like interested in buying the console, but I'm hopeful for the future of the series, is the only Square Enix game that showed up, which was the Bravely Default HD remaster. And this is something where we got Bravely Second, we got Bravely Default 2, and these were all on 3DS, right? Like this hasn't seen any releases on Switch.
No, there was
Kind
a
of the
Switch.
there was a Switch version of Bravely
Yeah.
Default.
Yeah, Bravely Default 2.
I thought that was on 3DS.
I have a Switch. Wait a
That
minute.
was on
I have
Switch.
I have a Switch.
I think it did come to Switch at
Yeah,
some point. I
I
don't know if
have
it
It did come to
originally was
Switch.
I have a
3DS or
Switch.
what.
I'm going to look this up. I have a Switch
Oh,
Bravely Default game.
I thought that was on. I thought that was on 3DS.
So is
Anyway,
this version
regardless,
something separate from Bravely Default 1 and 2? I figured it was just like a reskin, but is this a different game?
so this is the remaster of the first game.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm happy that this is happening because I'm hopeful this is a sign that either they are working on another entry in this franchise or they're going to use this to gauge interest if they want to continue it. because I do feel like it is one of those kind of other smaller JRPG titles that Square Enix likes to make, where I'm like, this has a lot of potential. Like, I love the Brave and Default system, right? You're either banking your turns to do bigger combos on a next turn, or you're kind of expending them to get ahead where you'll be missing out on future turns. But you can, dish out big damage sooner. And so I think the strategy of it is there. And so I'm just hopeful that this is a sign to say, hey, Square Enix hasn't forgotten about this IP. Don't forget about it. Like, I think there's value to, come back to this and make new entries if possible.
Yeah, so Alex, I know why you're confused, because it was Bravely Default and Bravely Second that was on the 3DS, and Bravely Default 2 was on the Switch.
Okay. Was it early Switch? Was it like 2018?
It was
Switch?
2021.
Oh my God, that came out so recently.
Yeah, like,
4 years ago.
yeah. I have.
It was during the pandemic gaming time.
You
Lost
just-
It's a
track
flat
of
circle.
everything.
It's fine.
Yeah. But I own all 3 of those games. I bought the special edition copies of Bravely Second and the Bravely Default 2. I love that game series. Like, I never actually. One of the things that is a hallmark part of Bravely Default is that you literally have to beat it like 8 times or something. And so I've not beaten Bravely Default Second or Bravely Default 2. I've only beaten it once, and there's more to the story. Like, beating it once is just part of actually finishing the story. I just haven't had it. I was like, oh man, now I have to do this like 8 more times, and I don't feel like it. So I kind of paused from that one, but I do love that series. Like, I would love more additions to that game series.
I am happy that you all are happy. It took me about 5 minutes to figure out Bravely Second and Bravely Default 2 are not the same game.
Yeah, they're not.
So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like a lot of these third parties kind of like catch up games of like, hey, this is what the rest of the world has been playing. Like, Square released Remake Intergrade, or they announced Remake Intergrade is coming.
Yeah.
No Rebirth, but Remake Intergrade is coming to Switch too. So it's like, positive signs. They did kind of were like, and we can't wait to see what people make for us next. And I'm like, I'm happy, because I feel like the sentiment was like, please don't release third-party games to Switch. Like, it's just going to bring everything down. Like, it's going to, increase development time. And I'm glad that they're kind of getting back into the fray, because some people, like, Switch is all they have, and that's all they're going to get. And so that they can experience some of these things sounds great. It does make me sad that Hogwarts Legacy DLC got canned, because I was like, man, that was a fun game. I could go back to that. But yeah, that's the Switch too. We came out. The price, they didn't, announce it during the Direct,
which is interesting.
It was after everything. It was starting to be posted. It's going to be $450 retail, or you can get in a bundle for $50 extra, and you get a digital version of Mario Kart. I've already said, so I'll go ahead and start this first question of, are you going to get it day one? I am a yes. If I can pre-order it, and hopefully I can. Which pre-orders go live in a week, so hopefully I'll have good luck with that. I'm planning on getting that 500 bundle with the Mario Kart World, but so excited for June. Tiffany, where are you at?
No, so
So
I
Oh, what?
basically
I thought this was going to be a slam dunk. I
am-
was going to start with like an
I was
easy
like,
one,
I
but
wasn't
okay.
gonna get this. I was gonna wait until a special edition comes out, maybe even the Pokemon ZA special edition. And Alex shared a thing where the Nintendo website was like, "Hey, if you've been a Nintendo Switch Online member for a year or two and you have at least 50 hours logged on this game, you can like get in this lottery to get first chance to order a Nintendo Switch." And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll register for you, Alex, because he was like, I don't have a Nintendo Switch Online account. And so I was like, well, I do. So I did. But then I accidentally registered, or at the time when I saw the website, they only had the Mario Kart bundle on it. And so you had to pick between one or the other. But when I was on the website, they only had the Mario Kart bundle. And Alex doesn't want digital Mario Kart. And so then I was like, oh my god, what do I do? And I was like, well, I guess I could keep the digital code, and he can have the console. But then and then I can get my Switch later. But then I was like staring at it, I'm like, but wait, I registered for, what if, I mean, I could just keep this one. I could just keep.
Yeah, you
I
totally
could just keep it,
Yeah.
and Alex would just have to fend for himself. And so I think I might be having to look for a second console for him. If I get this, if on May 8th,
Damn.
if they email me on May 8th and they're like, you can order this, ma'am, and I'm gonna be like, don't mind if I do, because
You have to wait till May 8th?
yes,
That's the weird
yes,
thing.
Yasser.
Yeah, because you have to wait
interesting.
almost a whole month, which is
Yeah,
why I'm
okay.
like, I saw that lottery and I was like, nah, like I'll try my lot at
Next
April
week.
9th.
I mean, I can also try,
Yeah.
but like, what is it gonna be?
I mean, you could
Yeah.
do both, I guess.
yeah, I could do both.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna try to get Alex a console, and if he literally can't get a console, I mean, I'll fork over this console. So like for now,
So,
it's kind of
question about the lottery though.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
What if you do it and then you just like decide not to buy it? Can't you just do that?
I mean, yeah,
Or
that's true.
Are you like locked in?
no,
with
I'm
this
not
lottery?
locked in. It's like, I mean,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have to give him my money. Like they'll be like, come, you
Yeah,
know, click on this link and you can like order your, your whatever. So you guys, I really think that, I mean, first of all, Alex wants it. For spoilers, Alex, I'm answering
Well,
for
come
you.
on.
No.
Let him answer
let
for
me
himself.
speak for
No.
What the heck?
myself.
And so I was like, well, if I want to play Mario Kart, I can play on his console or play with him.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I don't know. If it falls into my lap, I'm gonna get it because I think I'm on the hype train too much. You guys, I'm gonna be like, Matt, you want to play some Mario Kart? Like
I'm always going to be
Yeah.
down. Always going to be down.
Yeah. So that's where I am. But I want a special edition. I really just want a Pokemon one or an Animal Crossing.
You act like you're not going to buy the special edition when it becomes available, like in a couple years when Animal
Regardless of
Crossing
if you have it
happens.
or not. Yeah.
I guess I could trade in or like sell the OG.
Yeah,
OG
100%.
one.
All right, Alex,
it
do you
to
want to
me.
confirm or deny
Sorry.
the rumors that you're going to get it?
We don't speculate on rumors here. No. I think the price point is definitely fair. You know, as you said, they revealed it for $49.99 US. Thinking back to the Steam Deck and obviously, the Steam Deck LCD and the Steam Deck OLED, right? Kind of being the, I guess, most equivalent device out there for the most part, and those running anywhere from $350 up to $650 depending upon the screen type you get and the amount of storage you get. So I'm like, okay, this is squarely in that price range for very similar performance essentially. And like for me, it's, I don't think there would be a price point that would have turned me away unless they were like, oh, it's $1,000. So I think at the $449 it's very fair. I will get one if I can, if I'm able to. Hopefully, Walmart randomly opens up pre-orders on like a Tuesday afternoon at like 3 p.m. and I just happen to be staring at the Walmart page, refreshing it ferociously. So if I can get one, I will, because I think Mario Kart is enough to last me for a while, especially with everything else coming out. And then there'll be Donkey Kong, and then who knows when we'll get to Kirby Air Riders, but I'll be picking that up because I love Kirby Air Ride on GameCube. So, yes, I'm locked in for this. I will not be getting any of the accoutrements, the Pro Controller or anything, because at least they did confirm the Switch 1 Pro Controller does work with the Switch 2.
That
So
is
I'm like,
nice.
well, I have a Switch 1 Pro Controller. The only real actually two major differences. One, it doesn't have a C button. It doesn't matter. I
Gotta have the
probably
C
won't be
button,
using
Alex.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amateur.
And the second thing is it doesn't have the GR and GL buttons on the back, which definitely is
Yeah.
intriguing. It gives Pro Controller, it gives Elite Controller vibes, right, with the back paddle. So I'm like, okay, I could see that me eventually getting one of those, because I've gotten used to my PlayStation Edge controller and reprogramming those back buttons to like be things on the front, so to make it a little bit easier. So I'm like, okay, I will get that eventually, just not at launch, because I don't think any of the games at launch need it. So we're just going with base console, and I'll be trying to get that Mario Kart World physically, where I can.
Love it.
Interesting.
Yasser.
I
Is it my
want to
turn?
know. Yeah, Yasser. I'm like
Yeah, it
with
is.
waiting with bated breath.
Oh wow. So it's actually an interesting answer because I kind of flipped back and forth a couple times actually, believe it or not. I think when I was watching the direct, I was like, there's nothing here that I'm like super excited about where I want to get it day one. There's some things where I'm like, okay, maybe down the line I will want to get it, especially if there's like an OLED version, etc. And there are other things that I liked, like what Alex just mentioned with the Pro controller. That Pro controller actually sounds pretty cool. And I do like the social elements that they added, which is a big deal for me. Um, but then again, there's no Pokemon, which or like there's ZA, but like is that even exclusive? It's not. Um,
Right.
and then on top of that, there's just no other games that are I'm super excited for. And to me, I think 449 is a lot. Like I get it. I think what Alex said makes a lot of sense because he's comparing it to the Steam Deck. Um, but in a lot of ways, the first thing that I compared it to was a PlayStation and an Xbox, where those consoles are the same price and they deliver a much better quality of performance that you just don't get out of a Switch. I get it. That's not what we're expecting out of a Nintendo console, but it's priced with those consoles at the moment, at the very least. So to me, that's a tough sell. And then on top of that, it irked me that they did the whole Switch 2 edition thing, where like you get to pay for this update that we're gonna give to old games, so that you get the best experience. So all of that put together, I was like pretty confident that I wasn't gonna get it right away. But then I saw some stuff online that I think kind of made me think about it a little bit more, especially with some of the free updates that for some reason, maybe I missed it, but they mentioned on like separate articles afterwards that there are going to be free updates to things like Pokemon Scarlet Violet, Link's Awakening, and other like Super Mario Odyssey, a lot of older games that are going to get free updates that are just to kind of help stabilize performance so that it might be a better experience. That's pretty cool. I actually do definitely appreciate that. I don't know why they didn't mention that in the direct. Maybe they just wanted to get the ugly stuff out of the way so that all the news afterwards would be great. Um, so with all of that said, I think I'm still like on the fence. I don't really know. I think most likely it's going to be no until I get more information about Pokemon and how that's going to look. And maybe I'll be in Tiffany's boat where I kind of wait for a Pokemon like special edition or like an OLED. I think that would probably get me over the fence, especially if there's bundle deals in the future with Pokemon games. But I think I'm leaning towards no right now just because of all those things I mentioned. But in general, it's good to see that they have a good package, and I get why most people that love the Switch and play a lot on the Switch are gonna want to get it.
Are we gonna
Does that
get?
all make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total
That was a lot.
sense. That makes total
Yeah.
sense. I I wish I could be stronger, but I'm a weak lady when it comes to a good time. You know, when there's a chance of a good time, I want to be there.
Listen, if you
Yeah.
guys are talking about how you're just playing Mario Kart every night, like,
It.
it could be an issue, but we'll see.
It's gonna be great. I am already seeing how this is gonna happen. Like I'm just gonna like have it on the living room, and then when we go to like watch TV, just like undock it, just be playing Mario Kart all night. It's gonna be great. I'm doing that right now, but with Kingdom Hearts 2, and it just hits a little bit different. A little bit different. Yeah, I'm excited to want to play my Switch again. Like I am catching up on Wii U games at the moment. Like that's where I'm at. There's not been much that's happened to the Switch that have made me want to play the Switch, but just this year having Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, Metro Prime 4, like oh, there there is a chance in my top 4, like I have multiple Nintendo games in my top 4, and I'm really pumped about that. Really pumped
So
about that.
Matt, if you get your hands on a Switch 2 in June, is every Switch game that you buy now, will that be the Switch 2 version? Like Metro Prime 4, you're gonna buy the Switch 2 version?
Probably.
Oh,
Like I probably
Obviously.
will. Like if I'm doing that, because like they did talk about being able to like transfer all your digital, because I actually have a large digital
Yeah.
library, because I've gone mostly digital in Switch
Yeah.
1, and that it's going to be pretty easy to just like change my library from one to the other. I'm pretty excited about. And actually, they're offering quite like, I know GameStop is kind of like an evil corporation sometimes,
Yeah.
or I guess it's just a corporation. But they're offering like $150 for like first version Switches,
Yeah.
like for trade-in value, and I'm like, huh.
Like
Well,
a specific trade-in deal towards the Switch 2?
Yes.
yeah, towards its Switch too. So I don't know
Gotcha.
if I am able to pre-order through that, if that plays into it. I don't know. I don't know how any of those details go. But there's no reason for me to keep a Switch 2, like a Switch when I have a
Well,
Switch 2. Like
I think
going
you
all in.
might need it though when you're transferring.
Oh, for the transfer.
might. Yeah,
That's
you're
the
right.
thing that really stinks, is because
That is
like
weird.
you need it to transfer, because I have 2 Switches because I'm a maniac, and I did buy the Animal Crossing Switch, and so I transferred all my stuff, but I needed my first Switch before, to transfer,
But
and
the way
then
that they explained it on the direct is that you do it online. Like you don't
okay.
plug them into each other. That's what it's looked like to
I
me. I
didn't.
don't know if that's true or
No, I
not.
didn't plug them
But if
in.
that's true, then maybe you can do that before you trade it in, and then you get your new one and you can import it. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I think Switch.
I'm stoked.
I'm really excited about all that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry. I meant to say I'm so stoked. Switch 2 is great. Like, honestly, I if Odyssey 2 would have happened, like I probably wouldn't have been able to record, because I
You've been
wouldn't have-
deceased.
You're just like already
Yeah.
refreshing the Walmart page or whatever.
Yeah.
yeah, just dead. But we'll see. There's a lot of 2025 that they've kind of left ambiguous to kind of like figure out, like, is this all the games that we have?
Oh man,
Like,
holiday.
maybe not.
Holiday's gonna be huge.
I feel like third party, there's going to be probably a lot of third party that they probably want to get into, like Switch 2. Likely things will go to Switch 2 this holiday, potentially third party. Hopefully. I don't know. Maybe not for me. I don't know if I'm willing to do that if I'm giving up some of my trophies, but happy
yeah.
for all those other Switch people.
Trophies. They didn't even talk about that.
I know.
It's not
Yeah.
there. They left
It's
it
not
out
gonna happen.
again.
Oh.
Not going to happen. Any other closing thoughts on Switch 2? June 5th.
I need more colored Joy-Cons. What's happening? Because also, like, if we don't,
Oh, they're going to
but
do
like,
that.
listen, if I don't get a Switch, if the only Switch 2 in this household is the Switch that I get from Nintendo, and that goes to Alex, I'm gonna need my own pair of Joy-Cons to play Mario Kart with Alex, and they only have
No, you don't.
black.
No, you don't. He has a Pro Controller, and you can use the Joy-Cons.
Oh, wait
Yeah,
a minute.
there
Wait,
we
let me do
go.
that.
Yeah, they did
Yeah.
confirm Switch 1 Joy-Cons do pair to the Switch 2.
Okay,
do.
then never
You
mind.
just got those tiny buttons.
Never mind. I'll be fine. I have a Pro Controller. I have a Switch Pro Controller. Then I'll just use that. If it is, never mind. We're all
Oh, okay.
I
yeah.
like
We
that.
both have that.
yeah.
Everything for Switch is bigger. Like, it like fits an actual person's hand now. I'm very pumped about that. Very excited.
We
Oh, yeah, I do
realized
wanna mention,
adults
too.
played this console. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Weird. I thought it was just in the commercials.
No, I just want to mention I'm glad the new Pro Controller, which is also a bonus, has an 3.5 millimeter audio jack for headphones. Because the old Pro Controller doesn't. And it's one of those things where you're like, Nintendo, let's get real here. I know this came out in 2017, but come on, people. We've had the technology since like 2012, probably as early as like 2008, 2009, of sticking a headphone jack on a controller and letting you route the audio through that instead of your television speakers. Because so many times where I'm like, I just like, yeah, TV's great and all, but I just want to be listening to it in my headphones.
Yeah.
And if Bluetooth was the only option, right, sometimes it doesn't even work because you need the Bluetooth headsets with a dedicated dongle to even get it to work on Switch. So I'm like, I can't even easily pair like regular Bluetooth to this. So I'm very glad that they added finally, it's all the simple things, right? It's them modernizing the platform as a whole, and they've pretty much covered everything. The only thing really remaining is, right, cleaning up the UI, Like give us folders even. Like let
Yes.
me organize how things are stored on the Switch, right? So I know where things go. Like if they want me to have a big library, I need to be able to get through it very easily.
Yeah.
If they expect me to buy a lot of games, like
Mm-hmm.
having the generic just tiles in a row, like that does nothing for me. Besides like ordering it in the way that I launched them most recently, like that's awful.
What
So
if you click one
I'm
of
looking
those
for more
tiles
QL.
and you have hundreds of games after that tile to choose from?
I mean, that's,
'Cause that's what it's
fine,
gonna
you know,
be.
as long as I can group it myself. If they're like,
Yeah.
oh, these are all of my like platformers or these are all my rate, like that's what I
Mhm.
want, because I feel like part of my UX, my user experience with the Switch is partially my lack of interest with engaging with it on the regular basis. And so like you guys mentioned, like making it bigger is one of the primary steps of increasing that engagement, right? Like it feels better to play. The next step is hopefully these new sticks don't get drift, because my launch Joy-Cons both have drift, and so
Rip.
it feels really bad. And so I'm kind of forced to use my Pro controller, because if I don't, the sticks are just going haywire. So it's like, as long as they've solved a lot of those issues, or at least extended the lifespan, and they solve everything else, I think we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, when you buy a Nintendo platform now, it's not just the joke of like, oh, they finally have this. It's like they can play at not necessarily parity, but almost parity with the other big boys like in the game space, where it's like we have modern technology to answer all of the quality of life that you expect like in a modern video game console. You know, despite them, right, having these weird implementations, like at least they're getting there, right? Like they're trying, which is good to see.
It says something about the Nintendo Switch is that my first of the Direct was when they showed that they have a charging port underneath,
And on
like
top.
they did in Switch 1, but they also have
Yeah.
on top, because normal human beings want it on top. What the
That's
heck?
right.
Why is this just happening now? I'm pretty sure like all the engineers actually play the Nintendo Switch and they're like, what's happening? What happened to us? We used to be a company that feared the human race. Like, what is this? Yeah, so shout out to Nintendo Switch. Great products. More excited for Switch 2. Any other closing thoughts?
For our UK folks, it's actually not as bad. I think it was like 390 or 399.
Okay.
So
Oh, and that's
Yeah.
true.
congrats, UK folks.
The Japanese console's actually like 50,000 yen or something, which equates to like 333 like US dollars.
Yeah.
But they
Oh.
So it
region
really
locked.
is like a US thing.
Yeah, they region
Yeah.
locked it though,
Oh.
so you can't buy a Japanese
Interesting.
Switch and like try to play it here
Unless you buy Japanese games.
and speak Japanese.
Japanese.
You gotta learn somehow.
It's time to learn.
Rosetta Stone or Mario Kart. You get
Yeah,
to choose.
exactly.
All right, everybody. That is a wrap on Nintendo Switch 2 coming June 5th. We're pumped about it, or some of us are, some of us aren't. We'll see. I think I'm feeling it. I'm feeling 4 for 4 by the end of 2025. I don't know. Something's telling me. But thank you for joining us. Shout out to Grandmaster Doug. Shout out to my co-host, and we will see you next time.
I can be Moo Moo Cow.
I'm like $80. Can you believe it? What a deal.